One of the things that gets in the way of you seeing the truth is you're so familiar with things and you're so proud about your past that you just can't see a different light very easy. You have to have some pain or some bullshit, something to fuck you up to make you think maybe there's another option, you know? You really have to have something to fuck you up. I used to laugh really hard when people would tell me, oh, you're brainwashed. And now I look back and I'm like, damn it, they were right. And so I have to ask myself in the future, how can I guarantee that I'm not gonna look back and be like, damn it, I was brainwashed? That's one of the reasons I have to ask myself, are you asking questions or are you just walking around like you know everything? Because maybe there's a good chance I'm gonna look back at my beliefs right now and be like, you know what, that was messed up. And I'm gonna laugh just like I'm laughing right now about my former beliefs. I was listening to the conversation of Elon Musk and Jordan Peterson, and Elon Musk was saying you can take a set of beliefs and ask what the probability of it, what the probability is that it's true. And let's say that your goal is to advance and learn as much as you possibly can. Well, so like if I take my former beliefs in the FLDS and say, would those advance me to know more and more as much as I possibly could, and did it put me in a good situation to understand better life and just grow as a person and have more experiences? And I think the answer pretty clearly is no. So I can pretty much take that set of beliefs and be like, that was not moving me forward. Now I can look at them in other lights and everything, but the situation I was in was simply not moving me forward, and so I should let that go. Whoa, that's going on. Ah, yeah. One of the crazy things about being brainwashed into a certain set of beliefs is it's impossible for you to have that experience if you weren't brainwashed into that set of beliefs. In other words, it's impossible for someone to fully understand the feelings and thoughts and beliefs of someone that's in that particular situation if they haven't been in it. It's so unique to be in that situation and actually have those beliefs and 100% believe in them and be like, this is true, and then come out of it. It's fascinating. It's like, I look back on it and it's like, that was fun. Hell, I'm glad I came out of it. But it's like, damn, you know? You will not brainwash me into being a vegan. God, I hope not. In some sense, one of the ways that you can gain power in the world is to gain control of other people's minds. And this is legal. That's one of the it's free speech, obviously, but it's one of the ways you can control people and have it be legal. I'm not saying that brainwashing somebody should be illegal, but because then you get into all this complicated shit of like even believing something could be brainwashed. But I'm just saying you can brainwash people fairly easily. I look around in the world today and I see so many belief systems, and I'm like, in some sense, those guys are brainwashed that way. Like, they wouldn't consider it crazy brainwashing, but like this belief they have is like a brainwash type of belief. And I see it in so many different places that I'm just like, you know what? Everybody's just fucking brainwashed. Just messed up as hell. Including me. Like, one of the things I have to ask myself is some degree of brainwashing a good thing? Sometimes, like, you have to have certain beliefs instilled into you to give you a course to follow in life. And in some sense, you could even consider that brainwashing. It's like you can't be so fluent that you just have no beliefs. Time for seconds. If you were here with me right now, I could be having a conversation with you about being fucking brainwashed. You'd probably be like, dude, you're still fucking brainwashed. A lot of times I meet people like my friends and family, and they tell me something and we get talking about something and I'm like, ha, damn, I think we're all still brainwashed. Let me tell you a funny story. The other day I sat down at a bar and I had a little cup of wine and I was getting something to eat, and I met this couple and they were arguing about if polygamy was actually a thing over in Utah. And I was just thinking to myself, damn, if these guys knew. So aiming up and not getting a closed mind, because a lot of people that aim up also have a closed mind. They have these religious beliefs, but they have these closed minds where they're unwilling to experience anything outside of that. And that keeps you from experiencing the full array of like what life has to offer. And one of the things I used to believe is like the spiritual experience in the FLDS was so unique to the FLDS, and I do think it was powerful in the FLDS, but it certainly isn't isolated to them. Like, it's everywhere. And I would say I've had more powerful spiritual experiences since I left, and one of the reasons is because like the freedom I've felt, like being out here and just like, heck, I can just come cook a steak by myself. The freedom I've felt and the feelings I've felt from that have just been so powerful. And then my reflections back on everything that I did believe, and like, how do I look at it now? And like my prayers and everything, it's so much different. And it's so much of a unique experience. I can't imagine that I would have gone through life without actually tasting of that and enjoying a different view. At the end, especially when I was in the FLDS, I just felt so captivated and so locked in, and I wanted to break out. And I feel like maybe that's why these, like, as much pain as I've gone through, like, I've equally gone through as much joy. And I'm so grateful to like be able to see out beyond. And that's one of the things about our pride. When we hold on to these beliefs, yes, it might be painful to consider something else, and we might have to be wrong, but it's so joyful, and it's so beyond our comprehension if we'll let go and try something new. And so I feel bad when I see people closed minds, unwilling to try anything new, unwilling to consider other viewpoints. I just feel bad for them. It's like, yeah, I understand that it's your pride, but more than that, it's like you only have so much life to live. And if you could see some of the joy in some of the other aspects and some of the other ways to live, and even in God, like maybe the God that has talked to you so much, I don't know, maybe there's something more to it, because he's talking to these other people too. Like he's talking to the Christians, he's talking to the Islams, and they all believe in him damn well, but they claim it's a different person. And it's just it's just so good to get out of your zone and kind of consider some other viewpoints. Oh, I forgot about this. Look, it's probably good to have certain beliefs and not leave those. But I wouldn't say that you entirely have to leave them in order to see another way of life. But like when I was in the FLDS, it was so much that I basically had to get entirely out of that environment and mindset. And I had to spend some time with some people that thought different than I did. And as much as I like felt weird and dark and all that stuff, as much as I felt that, I knew I needed to spend some time with some people that thought different in order for me to have any chance at maybe feeling different inside. One of the things I would say is if you feel, let's say, a darkness, or you feel like something's wrong, I would recommend that you stay on the subject for a little bit longer and maybe consider it a little bit more, because often that feeling has more to do with familiarity than it does with God guiding you. And I'm not saying you should ignore your uh, hunches or revelations or whatever you want to call them. I'm simply saying that don't you should make sure you know the difference, because a lot of times the dark feelings we have are because it's so unfamiliar that we just don't want to go there, and that's way in our DNA. I just can't tell you how good it feels to have considered other viewpoints and then even recognizing, oh, I was wrong, and then taking another path. It feels so good. It's like you have sacrificed a part of you that was wrong, and now you have a better path into the future. I would say if you're ever up against a wall and you don't know how to move forward in life, there's a good chance that there's some belief holding you back that you need to sacrifice, and it's going to be like cutting it off you, and you're going to have to open your mind. But once you get through that wall and you have a bigger vision, and it's like you get into the next dimension, then it feels so good and it feels so freeing, and it's like, man, that was worth it. It's like, don't live your life up against that wall. Like, do what it takes. Like, break through. It's going to be painful. Think about any kind of brainwashing, no matter how small or big or insignificant it is. Like, it's going to be somewhat painful. You're going to have to go through some sort of sacrificing your pride in order to have a better view. But the cost of not doing that is to be held back in your life forever. You have to go through that pain, and if there's anything that can push you to go run towards that pain, try to break through that brick wall, let go of some of that pride. It's recognizing that you will die. Recognizing that you will die gives you the encouragement and the realization that you don't have forever to spend in this brick wall. You need to break through. You need to go out. You need to try something new. Jordan Peterson said something like, we have to embrace all the tragedy that life has to offer. And the reason why that's so important in this conversation is because if we can't embrace, like, for example, me, when I was leaving the FLDS, I had to fully embrace the possibility that I was going to go to hell. My belief systems were so constricting of me that I had to fully embrace the tragedy of going to hell in order for me to let go of that belief system. And I think it's that way in so many other little things that I see, even in myself still. I need to embrace the tragedy of letting go of that familiarity and trying something new. Because in that tragedy, we will find joy. And no doubt we're going to screw up once in a while. But in the tragedy, we will find joy. I can't tell you how much joy I found in the tragedy that it was to kind of like go through that experience of leaving. Like, I was fucking brainwashed as hell. And the tragedy, the pain I felt in the middle of that was just terrible. There was times I felt so low that I just felt like killing myself. And it's not like I totally considered that, but what I'm saying is, the more that we can embrace the tragedy of pain and suffering and the sacrifice of our pride, the better we will be able to have a vision forward in life and see things in other points of view, put ourselves in other people's shoes, have a more open mind, and gain more joy. My steak is done. You know, it got to the point where in the FLDS, even to do something like this was bad. And I'm grateful it got that way. I'm grateful it got so bad that we could see through it. Otherwise, we would have spent our lives not fully understanding the joy we could live. Like, in some way, the tragedy of how bad it got was so good. That is good. That is so good. Oh. Cooking steak on a rock is the elite way. There's nothing unnatural about this whole situation. I have a piece of meat, I have salt, I have a rock that's just thin, I have wood, I have a fire. There's nothing. I have a knife, but I'm not even using it. Like, this is so naturally smoked. It's so good. And like, you can see it has like a little bit of burnt on there, and that just makes it so good. And it's like real smoked. Going forward, I'm going to make a greater effort to embrace the tragedy of being wrong. It's so in my DNA to be like, no, I'm right. It's just like, I do it without even recognizing it every day. It's just crazy. When I know something's true, because I've seen it with my own eyes and I've experienced it and I've tried different ways, then I shouldn't change my mind so much about that so easily. It should take more persuasion to change my mind. But even then, I want to keep an open mind because there could be a better way. I got to tell you, I'm being safe here. One of the things my dad didn't want us to have is guns. And even the process of me buying my gun, because I bought it before I really fully decided to leave the FLDS. So it was like, am I disobeying my dad? I mean, that's a ridiculous thing, but like at the time, like looking back at it, somebody like you would be like laughing and be like, oh, that's so silly. But that's what I'm saying is, if you haven't been in those situations and so that you fully understand how the belief system was, then it's just funny. But once you've been in those situations, you can also understand that you could be wrong right now. I could be wrong right now, you know. It makes you more open-minded. At least it's made me more open-minded. The greatest blessing that I can think of was embracing the tragedy and moving forward in life. It can bring so much joy. If there's anything I would say to people that are closed-minded, that want to consider something else, that deep down, you know you aren't fulfilling your full potential. You know there's something more that you could be. You know that you could be more than you are if you considered other beliefs and you feel that something's holding you back. I would say take that leap, embrace the tragedy of being wrong. Take that leap, try something else, and experience the joy of stepping out of your comfort zone and reconsidering your beliefs. Whether it's politics, I mean, this is so bad in politics in this country today. I see this terribly. Everybody I talk to almost is this way. So closed-minded in every possible way you could be. Not considering either side, hardly, at all. And I think it's sad, but it's also proof that humanity is not by any means beyond brainwashing. We're not some advanced civilization that is beyond human nature. I think I've learned that from Robert Greene more than anybody. But like, humans are more susceptible than they ever have been, probably. Like, because we have our phones and like so many different ways that people can like get in front of us, and we get riled up over these little things without considering the whole picture. And I just think that we need to step out of our comfort zone, embrace the tragedy of being wrong, and thereby find the path forward that is correct. By looking for the truth that we see with our own eyes, we experience with our own bodies, by running the simulator in our minds of why someone did what they did, by putting ourselves in other people's shoes, we can pave a path forward of a more open mind without entirely letting go of the belief systems that have gotten us to the point where we are today. The greatest thing I feel in my heart right now is gratitude. I feel like I'm out here in the middle of the mountains. I have a campfire. I barely ate 2 pieces of steak. I'm drinking a root beer. Nobody told me what to do. I'm here because I wanted to be here. I feel like going forward into the future, I feel like I'm just outside of a wall. And I feel like I'm still getting outside of that wall. And I'm sure there's more walls in front of me. And I'm sure there's more beliefs I need to reconsider. But I feel so grateful. I feel so free. I feel so delighted that I can go forward in my life. Whatever happens, whatever I have to face, I know that I can have a mind that will be open enough to consider other people's points of view. And I want to always maintain that going forward into the future. If there's one goal I have, it's to maintain an open mind. Not have a closed mind that won't reconsider my own beliefs. I can't think of something more dangerous. Like Friedrich Nietzsche said, convictions are way more dangerous to the truth than lies. And we have built up so many convictions in our lives over the course of our childhood and growing up that we often create so many more lies with those convictions. And then we create more and more convictions that are wrong. And it feels so good to break down those walls, take another path, take another point of view, reconsider, understand the traditions of why our fathers lived certain ways, understand the value in those traditions, and understand a deeper meaning about them and not just blindly be living them because we think it's right. Tradition is good if we understand the reasons for those traditions. Even if we don't, it can be good. But if we don't understand the reasons for the traditions we're living, there's a good chance that we can be led astray to live traditions that don't benefit us, that hold us back. I'm not a big believer in just letting go of all your beliefs. It's painful. But I do think you have to consider it, especially if you feel like you're inside a wall, if you feel like you can't move forward. So important. Feels so freeing. Try it. Thanks, guys, so much for joining me by this fireside, having a conversation about being fucking brainwashed. I've totally, thoroughly enjoyed this, and being alone, more or less, I've come to embrace it. And when I'm out here in nature, for some reason, I don't feel that alone. I feel such a peace. I feel so grateful. And talking about these things and considering them makes me feel even more grateful. Because often I think I go without voicing the gratitude that I feel. And it feels so good to voice it. Thanks, guys, for watching. Like and subscribe. Join me in this journey of triumph, an open mind, and success. Thank you.